I was afraid that if I sat down that I would fall asleep, and so I spent that third night standing and pacing back and forth on the trail. I had no idea at this point what was going on down below, if anyone even knew at this point that I was in trouble. It turns out my dad had driven up to the trailhead and had found my car there and eventually had contacted search and rescue.
At about midnight, Friday night, at a payphone outside a convenience store, I dialed 911 and said I needed to report a lost hiker.
We received a call shortly after midnight on the 17th from Matt's father, reporting him overdue from the two-day hike. We sent a deputy up to the trailhead to check to verify his car was still there, and when that was confirmed, then we initiated a SAR call out.
My pager went off about 1 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning for a mission for a lost hiker up by Malacqua Lake.
Although his parents said he was prepared and was experienced, nobody was probably ever in the middle of May was expecting 2 feet of snow.
At about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, search and rescue vehicles started arriving, and they set up a command center. And then as time went by, more and more search and rescue volunteers showed up.
After we made plans there at base camp, 4x4 transported us down to the Granite Mountain trailhead where we got our gear ready and packed up and hit the trail about 5:30 in the morning. We ran into snow after an hour or so up the trail, and we were in snow the rest of the time.
This particular mission was very dangerous, not only for Matt, who was lost out there, but also for our searchers who were out in the field. And it was all due to the fact that the freak snowstorm and the amount of snow that had fallen over the past couple of days.
Met up with another team up above Olali Lake, and we were together, 5 of us in the team at that point. All along the trail we were stopping to do voice checks and looking for him.
1, 2, 3, Matt!
At a point between Pratt and Tuscahatchee, we saw footprints in the snow.
At about noon, the sheriff came out and said a team had radioed down and they had found fresh snow tracks in the snow.
Started to pick up the pace, tracking these footprints, because they just kind of started in the middle of nowhere, as if somebody had walked down the trail and stopped and turned around and went back, tracing their own footprint.
After we got the news around noon that they had found tracks in the snow, of course we were very excited and hopeful, thinking that our prayers were going to be answered. And they were.
I had pretty much lost all hope at this point. I was ready just to give up, and this was about 1 p.m. on Saturday.
Hey! Matt!
We spotted him on the other side of the river, standing there in the snow, and scrambled and ran and went across the river, and there he was.
They hiked down to where I was, and when they got close enough, they asked, "Are you Matthew?" And it was at this point, at this moment, that I knew that they were search and rescue and that they had come for me.
About 1 p.m., the sheriff came out and said that they had found Matt. That a team that had come in the back way had found him a long ways away from Malacqua Lake.
A couple of us took his pack and carried it, and another person helped him across the river and up the hill.
And they came across the river and got me and brought me across and hiked me up just a little ways to a spot where I could sit and rest. And this was the first time I had gotten to sit in over 24 hours.
We got him up there, and our other team members had gotten the stove started, and we got some dry clothes out and got him all warmed up and something to eat. communicated with base camp and let them know what supplies we needed.
After they stopped, got him warmed up, and it was determined that he was in good enough shape that he could make it down on his own.
We had other people from Tacoma and so forth come in and meet us there. Kind of a big debate on whether to go out the same direction we came in or to go ahead towards Malacqua Lake and Hemlock Pass, and we decided that it was better to go out Malacqua Lake, Hemlock Pass, and down the Denny Creek drainage.
As we got close to the trailhead, I got even more energy. By the end, I was practically jogging, just so excited to get out of there and to see my family.
Many search and rescue people came down that trail, and every time we looked at one, we were wondering if it was Matt.
They didn't recognize me at first because the search and rescue volunteers had given me a change of clothes. But I saw them and I walked right up to them and was able to give them a hug.
He was using poles, and he dropped those poles and ran into our arms. And that was the best reunion we've ever had.
A mother and father desperately clutching the child they feared they might have lost.
One of the things that impressed me about this experience is the dedication of the search and rescue people. These are people who get a phone call or a page 1 a.m. in the morning, get up out of bed to go look for someone they've never met. And I'm incredibly impressed by that dedication. And clearly, Matt would not have survived one more night up on the mountain.
If the search and rescue volunteers hadn't found me on that day, I don't think I probably would have made it off the mountain.
I'd like to thank the search and rescue volunteers for the service that they do. You'll never know what impact your volunteer work can have on a family's life and what it's done for our family. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Know that you are changing lives and making a difference, and I am an example of that, so thanks.